Lisa Wingate is right in the middle of what she says has been the hardest phase of parenting, preparing your kids to get out of the nest and then dealing with the empty nest when they are gone. For the last several months, she's been writing a blog on empty nesting for Choose Now Ministries. Lisa, why is it that you say this kind of transition into the empty nest phase is the hardest part of parenting?
It's just a strange process. I don't think anything quite prepares you for it. It's a little like losing your job. It's a little like being laid off when you didn't really intend to, because all of a sudden this thing that you've put your heart and your soul and your time and your love and your affection into, this job is gone. And there's not a lot you can do about it. And not only is it gone, but you're having to sort of send it out there into the world and hope you've done everything you need to do. You
have a son who's preparing to be a senior in college, a son who's preparing to be a senior in high school. So you're kind of at both stages of this. You say it's important for parents to plan ahead for low intrusion ways of keeping up with your child. What do you mean low intrusion ways? Not calling every hour and a half?
Yeah, I think that's the temptation, is to want to call and monitor and check in and wonder what they're doing and all that. And I have to tell you that Facebook saved my life when our first one went off, because I could check in on his Facebook page without bothering him, without having to ask him all the time, what are you doing? Are you going to class? How was it? What did you do today? I could check in on his Facebook page without getting arrested for stalking and find out what he was doing.
Do you think that it's different for mothers of boys versus mothers of girls when you're dealing with that communication issue when they first go off to college?
Well, it's probably harder and easier in some ways. With girls, I think you have more worry about safety issues and things like that. With boys, I think it's maybe a little harder because boys are not often as communicative as girls. And so boys aren't always into having long conversations and telling you everything about everything they're doing. And so I think you have to find with boys the ways that they will communicate.
I was interested, one of your blog posts was about when your child has a relationship that's ended, when they have had a bad breakup. You say it's really important that parents realize that when your child gets into that college age, that the breakups are going to be a lot more serious.
They are a lot more serious. I think sometimes we don't recognize the investment that kids that age have in their relationships. And we talked about that. When I wrote that article, I polled the kids I teach seniors, high school seniors in Sunday school every year. And we polled the kids and talked to them some about it and how it's different as you get older. Because, an awful lot of time a kid at that age, when they have a serious relationship, they are thinking, this is the one, this is marriage. They're planning a life based on that. And then when it doesn't work out, it can be very, very devastating for them.
You say even when mom knew that was not the one, the child a lot of times still did think that that was the relationship.
Yeah.
It's a tough transition. Tough transition. You have been working on finding the bright side of having an empty nest, as you have had one less child and now preparing to have no kids living at home with you. So what is the bright side of having an empty nest?
Well, I have to say I've had to look hard for the bright side, because I loved being a mom and I loved doing all the things at school and being the field trip mom and all that. That's the nice thing about working at home, was I had the opportunity to do those things. But there's a bright side in empty nesting. I think it's a time you can reinvent yourself. I think it's a time you look forward with your spouse or your friends, and you look forward to being able to get out and do things, or just take off for the weekend or whatever. There will come a day, we know soon, where our weekends are not planned with baseball games or school activities, and we may just get up on Saturday morning and take off.
I loved that you found even the smallest pleasures in buying what you want at the grocery store, not what the kids want. Getting your breakfast cereal. That was a good one. Buy the expensive cereal that mom likes. You also remembered a little bit about what it was like when you left for college and what that transition was like for your mom. It's different than when your boys went to school.
It was a lot different. Of course, I was the third kid, so maybe that had something to do with it, or maybe it was just a different time. But I remember going up to do my own enrollment. I remember the morning I got up, nobody even got up. We left real early to go up to move into our dorm, and I left with my friend, and nobody even got up to see me off. I just got up and I got in my car, parked all full of, packed full of stuff, and we left. And these days, you go to the dorms and all the parents are helping their kids move in, and there's these weep fests on the sidewalk, which that's one of my best tips for parents. Do not let the kid walk you down to the sidewalk at college. Say goodbye in the dorm room with the roommate. There's nothing worse than driving off and leaving your baby crying on the curb.
And nothing worse than the kids than watching mom drive away as well.
Exactly.
Oh, Lisa, that is a good piece of advice. I appreciate you coming and sharing with us today. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Elisa writes the blog on empty nesting for Choose Now Ministries online. Stay with us. We've got more from Moms Every Day after this break.